A noob Arak. Return this to your hand, Death Rattle. And summon 4/4 Nerbian. I don't know how to... Hang on, let me do this. It's easier to edit. Alright, out of Narc. Death Rattle. Return this to your minion... Wait, to hand and summon 4/4 Nerbian. It's basically worse Cairn. Like, I see that they're trying to add good late game cards, which I don't know. Like right now, in current card set, rogues don't run out of cards. They draw a bunch with the sprints and prep. So I don't know if a noob or lark is good legends to add. Not to mention 8/4/4 menas, 8/4/4/9 mana sucks ding dong. And even if it dies, even if it dies and summon Nerbian, at best it's 12/8. For 9 mana, 12/8? No, not even 12/8. At best, it's just 6/8 for 9 mana. This sucks, in my opinion. I mean, there's a perk that returns this minion to your hand, which only works for aggro cards. So I guess they're trying to push aggro, but then you don't want. I don't know if this is a good aggro card because it's so weak. It's easily removed. Maybe there are a few cards that can support this, like give a charge, give a stealth. But otherwise, I don't see it working. You need, I don't know. I wish this was 8/6 and exactly same thing. Then it's actually worth 9 mana in my opinion. But even I will say this as a best 7 mana. Maybe I'm overvaluing current 7 mana sets, but like Doctor Boom is as good as 8/4 and 4/4 Nerbian came out together, right? Oh, maybe that's a little too strong. But then it's a Death Rattle, so it makes sense to have it as 7 mana. It's cost 2 extra mana than it should be. Anyways, Vienna. I like the idea of giving minions like, oh, you kill this or you're dead next turn. Your minions cost 1, so you are gonna throw down everything as Druid. Problem with this kind of deck is obviously, if you want to have this deck, you have to have your decks heavier than mid-ramp deck right now, because mid-ramp deck often just give you 0 cards to draw. You're gonna have, well, 0 card to play after playing 9 drops. So you have like 2-3 cards, and you have Force Engine, Savage or Innervate, and that's it in your hand. It's a very often you will have that scenario, I think, in late game. So you wanna build your deck tankier and heavier, which will likely to be worse against aggro deck because your cards are you're stuck with a bunch of clunky hands. But I mean, I like the idea. It's just that a Vienna as a 9-drop 5/5, it's a cost like no, it's never gonna survive, right? Your opponent's gonna be at turn 10. How do you not kill 5/5 on turn 10, regardless of what deck you play, right? Think about thaurissan. Do thaurissan survive? Really, in my opinion. Thaurissan survive really a turn over. And if they do, it's game over, game winning card. And but then even if it doesn't, it reduces, I would say, 6 to 7 mana total. So it's worth by itself. But whereas this a Vienna card, unless you play another 10-drop along with this, it's not worth by itself, right? 5/5. It's a tough card. If there are some reliable way to play late game, then yes, this would be good. I just don't know. With current aggro, I think it's a little too strong for the card set so far. With the card set we've seen, this card is not reliable. There needs to be more stronger mid-game cards. If there are stronger mid-game cards, that it's gonna come out. Because right now aggro is really strong, and with the card set came out, it did not weaken aggro at all, I don't think. Maybe slightly, depends on cards, and it might have reduced the combo possibility. But though the aggro has not been nerfed per se, and mid to late game cards has not been buffed that much. So I don't know. You also have to think about the. I mean, it's like you can put this card in legend deck, right? You can put this card in legend deck. You also have to think about the card set you're gonna have with this. You're gonna have a 9 mana 5/5, so your other cards better be more strong, right? Your other cards better be more strong. You will have to I guess you can combo it with the Innervate and play other 2 minions, and oh my god. But then you die to like equally consecrate those board clears. I guess strong decks right now do like board clears, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Strong decks right now do like board clears, but this card also has to survive until turn 10 or turn 9 with Innervate to make it worth. Even in control decks, I guess Mirror, it's gonna be good. I can totally see it working in few matchups. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Against controls, this card is not as good because it's likely either they kill it on the turn they played, or if you don't want to overcommit against control decks. You want to just have 1 or 2 minion, but then if you just have a 2 minion, you already have a 9 drop and you have another card, you can't make use of the good effects of Anivia. If you want to just have 1 or 2 strong minions, or when I say 1 or 2 strong minions, like I would say like three minions that is around 4 or 5. That is a perfect board against control, and some removals like Big Game Hunter. But like I say, you don't want this against mid-range decks. Though this card is godly because the mid-range ability, the ability of a Druid deck surviving mid-range, if assuming you're playing mid-ramp, and maybe a couple more cards like Kelfu and Vienna, also really strong combo, by the way. Against mid-range deck, mid-range it's a good card. Against aggro, I don't know if it's a good card. I don't think it's a good card against aggro. It's too heavy. But like I said, like if a Blizzard come up with a more stronger mid-range decks that will help you survive without overcommitting, without having a bunch of clunky minions on your hand to enable this combo, then yeah, I can see it working. Alright, let's go over these 3 cards. 80s Darkbane, Fiorella, Lightbane. I'm not sure about how to read these guys because I did not play WoW. Well, I did not play WoW beyond the original. And Sun Knight. So the Darkbane, I'll just go by their last names. Whenever you target this minion with a spell, deal 3 damage to random enemy. So this card is amazing with a priest. Holy crap. Like, priests have so many buff cards. Some might think that it might combo with a mage, but I'm not so sure because A, it's not a mech, so mech, it has less synergy, and B, you don't want to be using those spare parts for your deal 3 damage. I think I'd rather use it for Firewall and deal 6 damage to face instead of deal 3 damage to random enemy. Anyways, it is one of the best cards you can think of if you combo it with the... I'm not sure actually if you target this with a silence, will that do it? It technically should, right? But I'm not sure. Anyway, so it's going to be one of the best cards to combo along with Valence Chosen, Power Shield. Deal 3 damage to random enemy. It may seem a little random, but it makes sense somewhat if since you're not gonna be running multiple buff decks on these 3 mana cards. You're unlikely to cast them on a main mundane 3 drop. Although it is not mundane, it's a legendary. And you're comparing it to Dark Cultist. Like, priests already have their 3 drop line kind of filled if you think about it. They have a Dark Cultist, they have a Death Lord, so you have to take out Death Lords or have to have a 6 3-drop sets total. I don't know, I feel like that's a little too many, like 6 of them. Typically, even in Arena, in mid-range decks, you want to have a 7 to 8 2-drops or 3-drops combined, or 3-drop or less combined. So it's a little too much in my opinion, so you'll have to drop Death Lords for this, so you can have a solid mid-range that curves up with a priest now, which is kind of cool. Which is something that the priests weren't able to do so past. I would say since the original BRM, they weren't able to do so because the combo excel is just a little too fast. Deal 3 damage to random enemy. Yeah, it's just super cool. I'm just afraid that they're pushing the aggro. At the same time, they're trying to buff the late game. I thought Blizzard's goal with this expansion was to push the meta game a little bit out of all the aggro, all the combo decks, because aggro and combo decks are predominant right now. It's really super strong compared to the control decks. I just don't see why they're pushing aggro as well. But then I guess you don't want to be just buffing all the mid and late game. You don't want to give some options to 3 drops. Obviously, this kind of card, it's you have to target with a spell, so you can't really use it with a Zoo deck. So it's not. It's a class specific. You're buffing early game of some classes, which is cool. You can even use it on Shaman, kind of, with Rock Pirate it. Although it's not as useful. The Light Band also does something similar. Whenever you target this minimum spell, gain Divine Shield. It's like same thing, but then Dark Band does instant damage, and it's not guaranteed. Whereas Light Band does guaranteed damage, and since it has Divine Shield, then you absorbs attack, which I like better. You're not relying on RNG. You're not, I hit this power shield, and the villain's chosen, and I kill off the 6 health minion the opponent's turn. It's like, oh, well, that's too bad. Or you trigger egg and you get the 4/4. And what do you do with it? With a 3/4 against a 4/4, right? Oh man. Well, I guess it would not be 3/4. It would be 3/6 instead, which just still doesn't kill 4/4. I just think that it's a cool set. But I don't know. I feel like this card is a targeting priest. But do priest needs a 3-drop line right now? There are a few classes that does not have any 2-drop line. Like warrior, if you think about it. Control warrior don't have them. But do you want 3/4 for 3 mana for control warrior when they have so many weapons? It's like that. It can be kind of iffy cards to put in. Maybe you will just run one. So you'll be running 3 or 5 3-drops in some classes. I just wish they didn't push. I just wish they didn't buff more aggro. I wish they will buff mid late game control decks so we can all have, you know, mind games. All have making fully use of the entire deck instead of just, oh, I just curve out 1 2 3 4 5 and you I win. It's I don't know. I just want to stay away from the meta. The combo deck meta kind of did it, but if we were to go back, if there are 1 or 2 more sets like this, 3/4 for 3 mana for all classes that does something extra on top of 3/4 for 3 mana, it's like Mech Mage. Like these cards early on are so strong that if you can play perfect 1 2 3 4 and your opponent is likely not able to do anything because their late game comes in like turn 5, turn 6, turn 7. Fizzbane comes in like turn 6 and you have to lifetime on top of it, things like that. It's just, I don't know, I wish they wouldn't make another set of this. I'm a little scared. I'm afraid of going back to the all Zoo meta. It's like, I remember how not season 1 of the 2014, the Zoos were super predominant in NA server, that everyone, like half of people on top 10 was playing Zoo basically. It's oh, whoever covers up better wins, kind of. I don't know if I like that one. But anyways, it's a super cool card. I like the choices. I also like the fact that they're not buffing necessarily those aggro decks, like a Hunter or Zoo. They're buffing more of the early game of the specific classes because you have to target it with a spell and they don't have that many spells. And same goes for Light Bane, obviously. And the last card is Silent Knight. It's Stealth Divine Shield 3 for 2/2. It's like Shades kind of, but not really. I don't know. It doesn't have to consecrate, but it doesn't get buffed, so they're not afraid. If 2/2 Divine Shield, even if I don't know, like is a stealth really worth 1 full mana compared to Shielded Miniva? It's 2/2 for 2 mana Divine Shield, and yeah, it's a paladin card, it's a class card, whereas this one isn't. But is a stealth really worth 1 full mana? I don't think so. I think it's more like 1/2, even maybe 1/3. Like 2/3, the Goblin Stalker is not 3 mana if you think about it. It's a 2/3 for 2 mana. And 2/2 for the Divine Shield is often it's like 2/3 or 2/4, somewhere between there. It's not quite exactly. So I don't know if I like this. It's one of the weaker cards out there, but maybe they're super cool combos at some point. You know, whenever they come up with a new card set, I'd say about a third cards total, it's going to be kind of bad. And I think it's one of those cards. Alright. Let's review some new cards that came up from New Gamescom. Wait a minute, I thought we all saw them. Alright. So, Warhorse Trainer. Your Silverhand recruit have +1 attack. So this is like mini Dude Master. I mean, you don't need health anyways, just need attack, so I think this might actually replace Dude Master. But then it's only +1 attack now too, so I don't know. 3/4/2/4 isn't crazy overpowered, so this guy will be likely 3/4 for 3 mana, which is pretty decent. Above average. If you save it for combo, Dude Master combo is 8 mana. This card can go up to, I would say, 5/4 for 3 mana, which is amazing, but for late game. So, it's okay card for late game as well, but then you don't want to play him on turn 3. Unless you hero power turn 2, which is unlikely to happen if you're playing Paladin. It's just as good as any other 3-drop, in my opinion. It's as good as any other 3-drop. Next card, Flash Shield, restore 5 health. Wow. Okay, so it's like Holy Fire. It is a substitution for Holy Fire, basically, and you will have another removal card. It's amazing against aggro. So they're finally adding anti-aggro decks, which I like. It's an anti-aggro deck for aggro deck, if that makes sense. It's like chip cards to counter chip cards instead of heavy cards to mid-range cards countering chip cards. So fair. So that idea I don't like, but at the same time, that at least they're trying to, like, I see their effort trying to take the game to a little more late game. I can see this card, you know, like you can use this card just one. I wouldn't run two. But how do you get card draws? I suppose do Priest need a card draw? They got so many. Yeah, I think I can afford this card. I'll just run Ysera and Mind Control and run Flash Shield instead of a Holy Fire and Holy Novus. That makes sense. And yeah, and later you can also buff these cards. Like think about what inspired deck would have. Velen. So you heal for 10 for 1 mana, things like that. Your Shadow Priest plus Flash Shield. Wait, no, Shadow Priest. Soul Priest, not Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest does not make your cards deal damage, only makes your hero power deal damage instead. So yeah, very good card for the cost. I just don't know if you want to have a bunch of cheap cards in your deck though. Yeah. I like the polarizing. Me personally, I really am a fan of the polarizing deck. If you look at my all warrior decks, I have a bunch of late game, bunch of early game, but then there's very little mid game. So I like the idea of adding more cards that you can polarize with. So in average, you will do about the same like average, but then you can afford to have those heavy cards at the same time you have the anti-aggro decks. Liking it. I just don't see, as of with the current, yeah, I can see this card totally being used. It's a pretty good card. Depends on how you design the deck, because there are not that many priest players that are like decent enough to make decent decks right now, I don't think. And I'm not sure if I'm one of them. Only a mid-range deck. I can only mid-range priest I'm pretty confident in. Yeah, I think I can afford that. And Living Root, choose one, deal 2 damage or summon 2/2. Whoa! For a druid. Living Root for druid. Is this card you want? I mean, it's you can play a token. It's just that druid hero power, even if you buff it, it's not so amazing. So I have to see a lot of inspired effects coming out of it. Otherwise, I just don't see inspired working out, because druid, like, what are you gonna do? Savagery? It's like savagery, deal 2 damage, or Savage Roar and Savagery. Like the hero power doesn't really, inspire does not. You have to have really good inspire for druid to keep on using hero power. Unless you're going against freeze mage, like last time I hero powered myself 8 times in a row to gain up to like 7 armor, and then that's how we won the game against freeze mage. Deal 2 damage. It's like substitute for Wrath, I suppose, and you can also use it when you don't have minions, which I like the idea. It also counters the early game. It's just that this card is not gonna counter Zoo though. It's gonna be just crappy card against the Zoo, I think. But it's a good substitute for Claw, and good substitute for like deal 2 damage. It's amazing substitute for Claw. Not that you use a Claw, so it's more like a token druid, like, in my opinion. Play this card and play like Volley Teacher, play this card, Mark the Wild, bam, you have an entire board like 4/6, 2/2, and then you Savagery. Yeah. I can see more hopes for Token Druid, which is pretty good. I tried to make the Token Druid deck work, but I couldn't make a use of it. Anyways, again, this is one of the cards that's making one of the early removals and early anti-aggression. It's a spell, yes. I know. It summons 2 1/1 saplings. I assume those are minions. You don't summon 1/1 spells. And again, that card itself synergies with the Token Druids, so I'm expecting maybe a little more token. And I'm hoping that was another hope. Like, I'm hoping there are a lot of Inspire synergy coming out with the Druid, because the Druid, the hero power sucks to just use it. Like, unlike Hunter, alright, Rogue maybe it's not as good. But unlike Warrior, unlike Priest, you can't just use a hero power just because, oh, I don't have anything to do with your hero power. But that's, like, yeah, they do it, but it's a really sucky option. So if you can squeeze hero power in by playing these cards, then yeah, sure. If the Inspire synergy is good enough. Anyways, a Feast of Droxus. When you play this card, play or discard this, deal 4 damage to a random enemy. For 4 fucking mana, are you kidding me? Get out of here. Like, here's a better card. Where's the... Oh, yeah, I forgot the... I think Blizzard forgot to... have, like, you know, there's a card called Shadow Bolt. Deal 4 damage to a minion. Oh, this card deals 4 random enemy. Oh my god, this card, oh, wow, this card is like, it costs 1 more mana, it makes it random? I will, no. Only thing good about this, I guess, is when you discard this. But there aren't that many discards combination at the moment that it's good for you. It's just, oh, discard like Soulfire and you lose it. I already mentioned it, guys. Play or discard, but discard, like, you really want a Soulfire and hope that you only have Fist of Xyraxis left in the deck? Or are you hoping that, oh, let me tap and let's hope that Fist of Xyraxis comes up. Oh no, my Siphon Soul, no, fuck, oh no, my Xyraxis, ah! It'll be more like that. Or maybe, yeah, Deathwing combo, I suppose. Will this be affected by Malygos? Yes, it will be. Actually, you know what? As people mention, people can combo this with Malygos. People can, like, Malygos against mid or against control decks, often they just run out of cards, right? And then at the end, you ended up comboing with a Soulfire and Dark Bomb to deal 17 damage, and maybe if this adds up, can deal 9 extra damage for free. I'll say about 5th time, which you totally do not want to rely on, in my opinion. I don't know, it just... There has to be a card that actually is beneficial to discard for people to start using this card. Or people start playing both 2 Soulfires. In aggro deck, in Zoo deck. Then, yeah, I can somehow see this working out, but then you don't want Doomguard. I don't know. Yeah. That's the only way. Like, the Zoo deck, I guess, could have used it. I just don't like the random enemy effects, and the payout is not the greatest thing in the world. I can see it working out for Zoo. Like, half of the time. But for the half the time, do you really want to sacrifice your ability to maybe draw for, you know, Abuse? I think I'd rather have Abusive Surgeon. The Abusive Surgeon is 2/1 and it does 2 damage, so it's a 4/1 for 1 mana. What are you taking out instead of this? Is the question, I suppose. Anyways, a Charged Hammer. Death Rattle, your hero power becomes 2/1 deal damage. Wait, what is... Huh? It's a Shaman card? It's a 4 mana 2/4 though, and that doesn't do much. And it takes 4 turns to do it, so you're gonna be using this on turn 8. So he's a Shaman's hero power. Deal, instead of become deal 2 damage, useful in turn 8. It's 2/4 turn 4 is just not too useful. Like in Aggro Shaman, I guess this is good, but in Aggro Shaman, I think like in Max Shaman you wanna have more damage, right, per mana. This is 8 mana, 8 damage for 4 mana, which isn't the biggest thing ever. I mean, yeah, it's sure it's a good, cool idea, Inspire Synergy, but I just don't see 2-4-4-4 doing, unless you can add a Wind Fury, or unless you can buff this somehow. If you can buff this, which I can't think of a way to buff it without using cards like Blacksmith or Sinister Blacksmith, or what's that Goblin card? Captain Greenskin. It just doesn't do enough damage. 4 mana 2/4 is kind of bad. You typically want 3 mana 3 attack around that turn at least. You can overwrite it. Yeah, that is true, but then you also need to have extra weapons that you have to pay extra mana for it. So you're wasting like 2 to 3 mana by just replacing it. I would like to see a synergy with this, like the aggressive Shaman deck maybe. But I need an aggro Shaman deck. Like totems are actually useful because of flanking totem. So do you really want to replace to 2 damage? Is it that good to see 2 damage instead of taunt totems possibly? I mean late game, like in the aggro Shaman deck, then Doomguard, Doomhammer times 2 just does so much more, right? Is how I see it right now. I would like to see a synergy deck with this. Like yeah, Blingtron, get this weapon to play against Henlock or Control. Against Henlock or... No, you don't want that against Control Warrior. You want that against Henlock. I can totally see it being viable against Henlock, but then, I don't know, you're building a deck to counter a single class, which you can do it by, you know, just adding... Against Henlock, you just run double Big Gammon or double Hacks, double Earthshock, Feather Spirits, and like bunch of Death Roll cards so you can utilize your Flankton Totem to the max. And you own the class. And then you even like you can also run an owl. It's I don't know. I just don't see it being useful in current meta, but that's based on current meta, so we'll see. Alex Treza's champion Battlecry. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and charge. Now I like this card. Holy 3/3 for 2 mana and charge. The only downfall of this is it's a Dragon Warrior card. And only reliable Dragon Warrior right now is, you know, one with the 3 dragons, and, you know, this is a reliable... I would say this actually might be a reliable replacement for Armorsmith. So if you think about it, Armorsmith, it takes a damage. It usually gives you like 5 health for 2 mana. But then you can charge it in with this. With this you can charge into 3 attack minion. So you'll be reducing about 4 damage, or possibly can deal extra damage to your opponents when needed. If you're holding Dragon, yeah, it's a Dragon Warrior card. Just that early on, like you're like unlikely actually have dragons is the thing. So you'll have to have more dragons in your hand for 2 drops. The only reason Dragon Warrior works right now is because you only basically have Corruptors, which cost 5 mana, and then you're gonna not play that until late cards. But then I guess for 2 mana 2/3 is not the worst thing. It's okay. You can just play on turn 2. Late game, it's just getting a little extra buff. But yeah, it's just one of the cards that you can just play whatever. I think it can replace Armorsmith, but I don't know if it will. Depends on whether the more cards gonna come out has more stats in them per mana initially or not. It's what it really matters. Are all the 3 drops are now just gonna have 3/4 or better? Or better. Like 3/4 is already good enough for 3 mana, right? That's as best as it gets, and some 3 drops are efficiently played, like the but then if they start coming up with their own 3 drops, enough 3 drops you can play it in every single deck. All the 3 mana drop line, all the 3 mana cards have extra effect on top of 3/4. If they have more, just purely more stats built in early on, then sure, you might actually need cards like this, because Armorsmith might not actually be enough. Like, if they start having, 4/2 charge for, like, 3 mana guaranteed, or 4/3 for 3 mana all the time. Yeah, I guess that's not too bad, actually. 4/3 is bad, 3/4 is better. But for 3 mana 4/4, how about that? Like Ogre, but then with less downfall. It's like, oh, each time you attack, lose 1 health. Something like that could happen, you know? Actually, I like that card. Each time attack, lose a card. Lose a... Okay, that's an interesting card. Now to think about it. It's just that it will not be played. Like they've been really trying hard to push for mid-range warrior. It just has not worked out. It's just one of the cards. One more set of cards like this will actually allow you to play mid-range controls. I think mid-range control-ish, just warrior. That yeah, with a good late game, but also good early game. So you're again polarizing the deck. So I like it. I just don't know how efficient it will be. I will rate this card a little bit below Armorsmith in most of the current decks. But yeah, mid-range decks I can't like. I was so excited actually for a mid-range deck to work out, but then it ended up just not being enough. It just doesn't have enough synergy. 2/5 was not enough for 4 mana, even if it deals 2 damage each turn. And the BRM, this BRM new card set, like a lot of those cards push for mid-range aggro warrior, it just did not have enough synergy. It just that control and not control, the aggro decks just completely demolished it, and so did the combo decks, and they took about same amount of time to kill your opponent, and the combo decks are easier to get the pieces. So yeah, more cards like this. I would like to see it. This card, Grand Crusher, add a random Paladin card to your hand. So it's 6 mana 5/5. It's I'll have to go over Paladin cards real quickly. I mentioned this before, but a third of Paladin cards sucks. I mean, it doesn't matter what cards you look at it. Like, it even has Light Justice, Blessing of Might. You don't want this shit. Avenge is okay. Hand of Protection might be okay. Humility might be okay. So, about a third, like, look at Repentance and Noble Sacrifice, Redemption, what are you gonna use that? Like, you can redeem your 1/1 you already have, although you're not gonna play it if you have it, so you're gonna choose to use it along with a tier and something like that. But Seal of Light, I guess you know what? Paladin cards in general are actually better than I thought. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Paladin cards actually have more value than I thought. A third of them, like cards like Holy Wrath, will actually draw your card. Blessed Champion is situationally good. Mustard is always good. Treasure is okay. Purifier is kind of bad. Divine Favor can be terrible. Sword of Justice, if you just have extra Sword of Justice on top of the 30 cards you have, I think it'll be actually good. Instead of you costing you one of the 30 cards. And you're gonna be drawing that late enough game that you actually want to play, except that you can get Harrison Jones, then you get wrecked by Harrison. But yeah, there are, if you get Light Justice, about third cards are still bad, but then those third cards are good, third cards are bad, but then third cards they're at the middle ground, and it's actually a bit above average of the other class cards like Silence, Mind Vision, oh my god, Divine Spirit. Yeah, those are actually above average. 6/5 for 5 mana. 6/5/5/4. Oh dear. The cost though. 5/5 for 6 mana. Is this fast enough to play it? I don't think it's fast enough to play it. It's a neutral Paladin card. I like the idea again. But what class will play this? What class? What class needs extra cards? Actually, you know what? Well, yeah, what cards needs an extra card? What classes needs an extra card? I guess a Shaman, actually. What cards like draw cards and need the extra power? Paladin is actually one of them, and Shaman is one of them. In Aggro Mage, I guess, Temple Mage is one of them. And Temple Mage actually can be decent if you draw into a spell that you can combo with Antonidas, things like that. Instead of Azure Drake, it would be like acceptable Azure Drake substitution because Azure Drakes get wrecked by Shredders, although you do have Frostbolt or things like other things to take care of them. So I can totally see this card being played instead of Wizard Tricks in some of the decks out there. Like nowadays, because of Belcher, 6-drops are more rare. If you think about it, yeah, 6-drops are really rare. There are Sylvanus, Emperor, thaurissan. Those are basically only 2 6-drops that are being played commonly. Like Force Nature, yeah, that's a combo piece. Freeze Mage, the Blizzard, yes. But you wouldn't play it in Freeze Mage, so never mind. On Patreon, Emperor. What is this deck? Oh, it's mid-range. Firementals, well, that's like... yeah, there's only like 1 or 2 backbone cards, like Savannah Jaime, that are good. That have good 6-drops. Besides Sylvanus and Emperor thaurissan. So yeah, I like the good 6-drop substitution. It may not be the best for just sake of it, but it may fade into curve better than the other cards. Beside these 2 cards, no one ever plays a 6-drop besides the Shaman and Hunter. So for the other classes, it's one of the cards you can just fit in curve with. Besides the, what's a 6/4? Sky Golem. So question, I guess, is a Sky Golem better or a Grand Crusher better? 6/4 for 6 mana, and you get random 4-drop on top, so it's good for tempo if you play Sky Golem. But if you're not playing tempo, this card might be better. For Priest, for example. No, they have Cabal. Never mind. So yeah, Shaman, Priest, Hunter have 6 lines full, but the other classes I see opening. If they're gonna use Azurgic, they'll just use this instead, I think. Yeah, to get like cards like Tyrion, Lay in Hand. Anyways, the last card is a Confuse. Swap the attack and health of all minions! What the heck is this? It's a mad scientist for all! Have it all! Have it all! Very strong card against the Totem Shaman. It will wipe the board against the Totems. Oh man. It's a tech card you can sub in. It's a sub card basically. But it's not Light Bomb. Hey, you know what? You can combo this with Light Bomb. Almost guarantees a board clear, because Light Bomb doesn't guarantee a board clear. And majority of the minions that you will be seeing have more health than attack, or they have equal. But yeah, it's a crazy alchemist with extra S's. But you don't get 2/2. Interesting. I'll like once the whole set comes up, people can actually make a use of. Like maybe I will try one of this card. Also, you know what? You can use this in a combo deck that you use a Mad Scientist instead. But then it's not as good as Mad Scientist, because 2-drop you actually want that against aggro, which you do not have, and you're against a zoo deck. This card will be the worst crap ever because you kill their eggs and you're fucked because they have a 4/4 that you can't confuse again. Hey guys, MaSsan here. Thanks for watching. Please join my channel by clicking this subscribe button and check out more of my videos right here. I appreciate your support. You're awesome. Stay beautiful. MaSsan out.